Hey guys, welcome back to Gunflint Designs. My name is Katie, and today I'm going to show you how I installed this ceiling fan.
Our dining room is one step closer to being finished, and after that big drywall and painting project from last week, it's time to get some new lights installed. This room tends to be on the cooler side all year long. It's on the shady side of the house, so in the summer it doesn't get as hot as the rest of the rooms. However, in the winter, it's farther away from the furnace and fireplace, so it doesn't get as warm. So we decided to go with a ceiling fan in here in the hopes that it would move some air around and level out some of those temperature differences. My favorite part about this project is that Katie wanted to do it herself, so I just stood back with the camera and let her work. My only jobs in this were to provide moral support, to hold a few things when she needed a third hand, and to act as executive tool Sherpa. Yep, I'm pretty good at writing resumes. When I was working through college, I used to be a French fry technician and the executive director of custodial arts.
At this point, we've finished with the motor, putting those pieces together that we needed. Now we will move up to the ceiling and work on attaching it to the junction box.
Rule number one when working with electricity is to turn off the power at the panel. Katie's never done a project quite like this before, but she just read the instructions and took her time, and everything came together perfectly. I temporarily put up this fixture to give us light while we were working on the drywall and paint. So the first step was to remove it and also remove the mounting bracket from the old light fixture. Next, Katie installed the fan hanging hardware by screwing it into the electrical box in the ceiling. She used an analog-style screwdriver to get the screws started, then used a drill to drive them in all the way since they had an excessive amount of threads. Next, she lifted the motor assembly and placed the knuckle at the end into the cradle at the bottom of the hanger. This holds the whole thing up and leaves plenty of room to work on the wiring. Neither of us are electricians, so I'm not going to give you advice on what wires go where. Make sure you look very closely at your instructions for that. The process generally involves stripping some wires, twisting the correct ones together, then twisting a wire nut onto the ends. With the wires tied together and tucked in tight, Katie slid the shroud up and locked it into position by twisting it with the screw head through the keyhole slot. Then she put the screw in on the opposite side and tightened them down. Then there was one more decorative collar to hide the hardware, which also got locked in place simply by lining up some keyhole slots and twisting them over the screw heads. Next, Katie assembled the fan blades by lining up the metal arms with the pre-drilled holes in the blades themselves. Then she just tightened down the screws and did this for a total of 5 blades.
Here you go. Here you go.
What's your name?
Aiden.
Ah, is it Slimy Face? To install the blades, I finally got to be a little bit useful and did a magnificent job of holding them in place while Katie drove in the hardware. Would you just look at that form? Oh, and Katie did nice work too. Hooking the lighting shroud up to the rest of the wiring was really easy. There were just 2 wires to connect from each end, and they had different types of male and female plugs, so there was only one way to put them together. Then, Katie just had to push this shroud in place, making sure not to pinch any wires that tried to spill out the side, then install the 3 mounting screws. At this point, our filming light was fading fast, but Katie was almost done. She put the glass shades in place, which are held by 3 thumb screws. Then, we put in some light bulbs, and I heroically got to help again. And that's it. From start to finish, Katie did this whole thing in about an hour. All that's left to do is turn the power back on and see if it works.
Moment of truth time. You did this all yourself. I kind of coached you a little bit at some points and maybe held a few things, but this was your project. What do you think? Is it gonna work?
I'm ready. I'm ready to try.
Man, that's bright.
It's really bright, but it
It
does make this room a lot nicer.
Nice.
Better than that 70s piece that was up there before. So, yep, I guess we'll check the fan. That works too. I must have done something right.
Yeehaw.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a better look.
It is a better look.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
But not the old light.
Not the old one.
Emmett, what do you think?
Fine.
Fine. Tell me about this room.
I love the fan, and I love all of these white colors.
Yeah.
And we should probably change the tape.
Yeah, that's a little taller order.
That's on the list though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, Declan's ready to eat.
All right, I think it's supper time, guys. The fan is in, and we are one step closer to being done with this dining room project. I was quite nervous to be taking the lead on this particular project because it involved electricity, but we just stuck to safety guidelines, read the manual, followed the instructions, and everything went smoothly. It did take me about an hour to complete the project, which, to be honest, was longer than I had anticipated, but it seems like that's always the case with home improvement projects. For now, we're at a standstill with the dining room. We still need to get the floors finished, and it'll take a couple of months for the crew to get in to do that. So please come back next week, and Mark will have some shop projects.